Welcome back to the Octon Opinions channel. Good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. In today's video, we are going to be tier listing all of the male UFC divisions. Um, could have added the female divisions into it, but that would have been much fun. Um, you know, would have made the video a bit boring, much like the fight nights. But anyway, we're going to go through, rank each division based off of just, a range of factors, stuff that I think is important, like personalities in the division, how good the champion is, the contenders, the prospects, just, general stuff, to rank the division. And we're going to be ranking from S to D. And yeah, pretty simple stuff. We're going to kick it off with flyweight. We're going to, oh, fuck. We're going to kick it off with flyweight, Joshua Van. And we're going to be putting flyweight into the B tier as a division, right? Now, flyweight, we've got probably the best looking UFC champion at the minute. No homo, no homo, right? No homo. Joshua Van, he's a good looking guy. He's a good looking guy. He's arguably better looking than any of the other champions at the minute. That doesn't really have any bearing on the division as a whole. I just thought I'd throw that in, make MMA gay again. But yeah, so that's one thing, I suppose. But on a real note, we've got two former champions still in the division. Really good contenders in the top 10, sort of coming up, challenging for the title. We've got, obviously, you've got Cap, who's just fought and beaten Horiguchi just there. You've also got, Loner Kavanagh. He's coming up a wee bit. He just beat former champion Brandon Moreno. So like it's a good looking division at the minute. You've got lots of great contenders. You've got a lot of prospects as well. We also have a lot of oh well, not a lot, but you've got good gatekeepers. I think that's another really important thing about a UFC division is the gatekeepers within that division. You've got guys like Tim Elliott, Charles Johnson. These guys look like, and look, this is no offense, right? They look like that they would be fighting for a needle, a used needle under a bridge, right? Look at Charles Johnson, look at Tim Elliott, and tell me those guys don't look like you would see them scrapping for a used needle under a bridge. They're fucking mental. They look insane, but that's what you need. You need two absolute nut job looking unks as your gatekeeper for your division. Um, and I think it does well as a division. You've got your gatekeepers, you've got your contenders and your prospects, and then you've obviously got your top five and your champ, right? However, I would say there's still a lack of star power. There's still a wee bit of a lack of star power. You've got Joshua Van, who's he's got swag, he's pretty cool, but he's not a star, right? No one at flyweight is a star, and I think that's their main problem as a division. Um, but I also think that, the fights are actually sometimes better than a lot of other divisions. Um, a heavy, um, you've got a heavy reliance on technique, right? Because these guys, they don't have, heavyweight knockout power, but they've got technique. And when you watch fights like Joshua Van v Brandon Royval or, Pantoja v Moreno, stuff like that. Like the technique is so so good in this division, and it does make the fights really fun to watch. That's why I've got it in B tier. I think it could improve a wee bit with star power and maybe a bit more in terms of like really good contenders. But overall, I would say B tier is pretty solid for flyweight. Um, but yeah, pretty good division. Kind of middle ground starting off. We move on to the bantamweight division with Piotr Jan. Now, bantamweight, I've got it in C tier, right? I've got bantamweight in C tier. So you've got a really talented top five at bantamweight. We've got older champs, not older as in age, but you know what I mean, like previous champs with O'Malley, Marab. I think you've also got Figueiredo in there somewhere. I think he was champ at flyweight maybe. Um, but either way, you've got some really, really high level talent in the bantamweight division. Um, you've got pretty good contenders and pretty good prospects, at least up until the sixth or seventh ranked fighters. I think Eamon Zahabi, right? Eamon Zahabi being nearly 40 years old and being ranked, what is he, sixth or seventh in the division? That is criminal, right? That's like Bin Laden type of stuff. Um, like that's just mental. You can't have Eamon Zahabo, the baldy, fucking Ariel Hawani's long lost cousin. You can't have that guy in your top seven, right? It's not fair, right? It's not fair on the other fighters below him. But also in bantamweight, there's not a lot of sort of up and coming contenders. As in other divisions. Um, Most guys who are going for the belt and who are fighting for the belt, I'm thinking about Sandhagen, I'm thinking about other guys like that, like maybe Umar. Um, like a lot of these guys, they've already either fought for the belt or they've held the belt. So the top contenders, it can get a wee bit boring at bantamweight because either he's already held the belt or he's already fought for the belt at least once. So I think it's a wee bit dead in terms of like proper title contenders. I think they could, do a bit more with that. Um, but they do have some prospects. I'm thinking Peyton Talbot, Raul Rosas Jr. Um, my only thing with those two guys in particular, I just don't really think that either of them are going to get past the top four, right? I think they might reach top four, they might reach top five, but I think they'll kind of hang around the sixth or the seventh spot. Because I mean, Raul Rosas Jr. I think he's on a three-fight winning streak at the minute, but they're not like good wins, if that makes sense. Like I think his most recent win was I think he beat Rob Font recently. And like Rob Font, it's a name, it is a name, but it's not really a kind of win that's going to make you think, oh, this guy's the next title winner. This guy's the next guy to hold the title. He beat Rob Font. You take the piss. So that's why I've got bantamweight and C tier. I think the actual top five and stuff is great. The other contenders around it, they're okay. They're not too bad. But I think the lack of prospects and just the kind of it's like a what do you call it? Like a fucking roundabout circle. It's like a circle of just five guys who they're all kind of title challengers and they have been for a few years. So C tier, C tier I think is fair. Peter Yan though, really good champion. Um, and that's the other thing with these divisions, right? I'm thinking about the champion. Okay, Peter Yan, he's a really good champion, and I mean, would I move him up to B tier? The whole division, though, we do have to take into consideration. I'm talking about the whole division, and that is why it is in C tier. I think they could do a wee bit more, and yeah, it's just a wee bit, Um, but we move on to the next division, featherweight, with Alexander Volkanovski. This division, it can only really go one place. It's A tier. Now, featherweight in A tier, we've got Alexander Volkanovski as champion, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time. Um, some people might even put him into like UFC wide GOAT conversations with guys like GSP. Um, who's that? What's his name? What's his name? John Jones. John Jones, of course, of course. You can't forget John Jones. Um, but I think champion wise, A tier, obviously, that's a non-negotiable at this point. Um, but you've also got really, really talented contenders. You've got uh, um, fucking Diego Lopez, who's just won at the White House. You've got Movsar Evloev, who beat Diego Lopez way back when. You've got Lerone Murphy, who lost to Movsar Evloev. So Evloev, I think we all know is going to get the next title shot, and that's great. But the overall contenders in featherweight, I think, are just really, really good. However, I think they still all of them could really easily lose to Volkanovski. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Evloev loses to Volkanovski. I think Murphy would lose to Volkanovski. I think everyone else in the featherweight division would still probably lose to Volkanovski. Um, and, you've got guys like Yair Rodriguez, right? And this is a slight negative on the featherweight division, which is why it's not an S tier. You've got Yair Rodriguez, who, Yair Rodriguez, where the fuck is this guy? Right? Where is he? Where is Yair Rodriguez? Has he been kidnapped? Where's he gone? Right? We need to know. Okay, we need to know. Does the UFC have him, tied up in a fucking warehouse somewhere? Are they like, what are they doing with this guy? What are they doing with him? And how is he still ranked? We saw that the UFC were going to roll out a new ranking system. I think it comes out today, actually. So it might change. It might change. This is subject to change, right? But Yair Rodriguez, this fucking guy, has hung around like a bad smell in the featherweight division for the past 3 years, and he's done fuck all. He's done so little. That is my only problem with the featherweight division. Um, and I would also say that Lopez gets, maybe better treatment than other contenders. He's been given two title shots already. He maybe didn't deserve the second one, but it's Diego Lopez. It's Diego Lopez, right? He's literally the guy. He is him. I don't think you can have that against the featherweight division as a whole. Um, but yeah, I think it's a really good division personality wise as well. You've got guys like Arnold Allen, you've got Gene Silva, Lopez, Volkanovski, fucking who else you have? You've got Brian Ortega, right? I'm glad you asked. It's all part of the story, man. Some shit about the eagle, doing up his feathers and some shit. So personality wise, I think it's a really good division, which is why I'm kind of keeping it in that A tier spot, because I think all round, all things considered, featherweight is an A tier division. I think that's pretty. I think that's you can't really contend that. Um, but yeah, so A tier for featherweight. We move on to the lightweight division, and its brand new champion, Justin Gaethje or Goichi, if you are Sean Strickland. Um, Now, lightweight is going into S tier, and I don't want to see or hear any, bum, right? Any of these bums who are, talking about fucking, oh, lightweight division is, it's overhyped. It's completely overdone. Oh, it's just the same five guys. Boo. If you don't rate the lightweight division in the UFC, if you don't rate the lightweight division in S tier, uh, what do you rate? Okay, like what do you actually rate? You've got absolute killers, and I know, Joe Rogan, all that kind of shit, bit cringy when he does it, but he's right. You do have absolute killers in the 155 division. We see with Gaethje, age doesn't matter. But in the lightweight division, I do have to make that I do have to add that on, okay? Okay, age does matter everywhere else, but in the lightweight division, it does not matter. Age is just a number to these men, um, and I think that's what makes it fun. That is what makes it fun. You had Poirier, beating off guys. Hold on, right? You had Poirier beating off guys who were coming up the division. Okay, he wasn't just beating off guys in general. Maybe he was. Who knows? But like, Poirier beating off BSD. Gaethje obviously beating off Paddy. Like, oh, it's just brilliant. It's really good. Armin beating Dan Hooker. Like, you have a real solid top five of fighters at lightweight. Um, Now, out with the top five, there's some stinkers. Okay, we do have to be honest. There are some stinkers. I'm thinking about Renato Moicano, Beneil Dariush, Dan Hooker. Even I think he's starting to become a bit of a stinker. Um, but they are important, in terms of gatekeeping and making sure that the people coming up the division, like if you can beat Dan Hooker and you can beat Moicano, you'll be an okay lightweight. You know what I mean? Like you'll be a decent ranked lightweight. Um, but then you start getting into, fights with Paddy or BSD or um, Charles Oliveira even, he's at lightweight as well. So you do then have to then make the next step onto the legends of the division. Um, but yeah, it's just a good division all round. Personality wise, I think it's unmatched. You know, you've got Paddy calling Ilya a fucking sausage. You've got Ilya trying to be Conor McGregor 2.0. You've got Armin, you know, doing some fucking Batman subplot where he's always on a fucking private jet somewhere. He's putting, what was it, $1 million on Gaethje winning. Like he's just doing whatever the fuck he's doing. And you've got Oliveira winning the BMF belt. You've got Holloway now fighting McGregor. Like there's a real good crop of like personalities and just real solid guys in this division. And that is why it is the S tier. I think it is just the best division. Now, prospect wise, it's not great. You've got Quillen Salkfield, who I think will be a real, you know, breath of fresh air. I think he'll be a lot of fun in the division. But apart from that, you don't have a lot of guys. I think is Manuel Torres kind of coming up as well, but there's not a whole lot of kind of prospects at lightweight. And I think there's a reason for that because you do actually have to be the best of the best to get to the top 10, the top 8, the top 5, that you have to be good. Um, but yeah, S tier division. You know, if you disagree, argue with a wall or something. I don't know what to tell you. We move on to the next division, which is welterweight. Now, welterweight, I've got it. Originally, I'm thinking B tier, but looking at it now, looking at it now, do you know what? I'm actually going to move welterweight. Oh, fuck off. Um, what was that? Who knows? Welterweight division, I'm going to put it into A tier, okay? Originally, I had it as B tier, but I don't know. I mean, Islam being the champion, you know, it could mean that the fights will get boring, okay? I mean, we saw his fight with JDM. He lay on top of him for 25 minutes. Is he going to do that in all of his title defenses? Because we know that he's now fighting Ian Gary. That fight just got announced, you know. Shocker, right? Who could have seen that coming? Um, but is Makhachev gonna like? How is he gonna fight? Is what I'm thinking. Because welterweight, you know, they're a lot bigger than the lightweight guys, and we saw that Makhachev obviously he wants to, you know, wrestle. He wants to grapple. JDM probably was a bad, you know, it was a bad look for the welterweight division. But you've got guys like, you know, Michael Morales. You've got Sean Brady. Who else have you got? Bilal Muhammad, you know, remember his name, say his name. Um, you've got Prates, you've got all these absolute killers at welterweight. And this is one thing I do want to say. The welterweight division, for me anyway, watching it, is the most kind of MMA division. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm talking in terms of just being really balanced with striking, grappling, wrestling, like the welterweight division arguably is the best division for like just MMA as a whole in terms of the actual sport. Personality wise, it's a little bit dead, right? It is a wee bit dead. You've got Ian Gary crying from the corner while his wife gets, you know, pounded by another guy. You've got Prates who's, you know, smacked off his face half the time. You've got Bilal Muhammad just, you know, shouting from all the way down. And what is he in, like ninth or eighth or something? You've got Edwards. He's still trying to drag the whole fucking headshot dead thing. Um, you know, it's a wee bit, personality wise, it's a wee bit dead. Um, but I think just it is just good. It really is just good. You've got Unks who are, you know, keeping the division pure, MMA wise, obviously. You've got Unks who are gatekeeping it. You've got what else have you? It's just yeah, it's just good. You know, it is just good. And I think if Makhachev can fight in a genuinely mixed martial art way rather than just wrestling, like if we see him genuinely striking with these guys, I think this might actually overtake lightweight as the best division. You know, I'm gonna say it. I think it might overtake lightweight, but we'll have to see. We will have to see. Um, but yeah, B tier, or sorry, not B tier, A tier for the welterweight division. and we move on to middleweight. Now, middleweight's going in D tier. Oh, if the picture will go in. All right, the picture's not going to go in. Anyway, the picture is Sean Strickland, right? Just imagine Sean Strickland is down in D tier. I'll probably just have to edit him in or some shit. But yeah, middleweight. So middleweight, everybody, as soon as Hamzat, left and Hamzat got beaten and now Hamzat's gone, Hitler is dead. That's what it felt like. Everyone's reading the paper. Hitler's dead. War is over, right? We've got rid of Hamzat, but the actual like title contenders at middleweight are fucking boring as just they're so boring, right? I mean they are like apart from Imavov and who else do we have here? Um fucking Imavov and DDP, right? DDP, who by the way is fighting Kamara fucking Usman. He's fighting Kamara Usman. Why? Why have they made that fight? What the fuck is DDP fighting Usman for, right? That's retarded. Usman, okay, you want to put him in middleweight, fine, cool. Let's put Usman in middleweight. He's not even top eight. Like, he's not even top eight. I mean, I know I just said that the middleweight contenders are bad, but they're not Usman bad, okay? Like, they're not. Um, but yes, you've got DDP, who's I think he's number two. I think he's number two ranked at middleweight, and he's fighting Kamaru Usman for no reason. I mean, other than just Kamaru Usman's a name on the resume, right? It's terrible. It's terrible. Um, and then all the other contenders are fucking wank. To be quite honest, they're terrible, right? You've got guys like Brendan Allen, and look, I like Brendan Allen, but he's just a bit. You've got Anthony Hernandez, who again, these are likable guys, but they're just eh. They're just meh. I mean, Joe Pyfer, he's a bit exciting. I think everyone's excited to see what Joe Pyfer does. You've got Adesanya now moving into a gatekeeper role, and that could be interesting to see. But apart from that, it is just a bit of a dead division. Like, it really is a bit of a dead division. You've got Hamza, I think he's now going to be moving up to like heavyweight. And, a lot of guys at middleweight, what they actually end up doing is if they stink it out in middleweight, they move up to light heavyweight, right? We saw that with Robert Whittaker. We saw it with Rainier de Ridder. They're now both moving up to light heavyweight. Um, it is just a division of just guys who are too small for light heavyweight, but they're too big for welterweight. It's just a weird division. It really is. And yeah, D tier for the middleweight division. We move on to light heavyweight division with Carlos Ulberg. Light heavyweight, shock horror, it's a D tier division as well. Pardon me. Light heavyweight, you've got Chaos up at the top. Ulberg winning the belt, now being injured for God knows how long. You had obviously Jamal Hill way back when he won it, he had to vacate. I think Yuri Prohaska had to vacate the belt as well at one point. You had Glover Teixeira fighting for the belt as well, only like what was it, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Like it's insane stuff up at the top of the light heavyweight division. I mean, I'm not complaining. I think entertainment wise, it can be quite good. But it's also just a bit meh because like they don't have title contenders at light heavyweight. They just don't. At the light heavyweight division, if you are in the top, eight, right, and you could be the shittest guy in the top eight, but because the champion keeps having to vacate the belt every few months, you'll probably get a title shot. And I think we're going to see this with Paulo Costa, right? Paulo Costa, who as well, he moved up from middleweight. He is now looking like the best title contender at light heavyweight, right? He is, was a Mirzakhanov did he knock out, and he sparked him out, and like what can you say? He did spark him out. You've got guys like Dominic Reyes and Johnny Walker. I mean, that fight, the Reyes and Walker fight, just shows you how bad the guys at light heavyweight, like the contenders are. They're fucking god awful. None of them want to lose because if you lose one fight, you might fall down too far down the division and then you won't get a title fight. But if you at light heavyweight, if you are on like a two fight or three fight winning streak, you are basically within a good chance of getting a title shot. And it's fucking crazy. It's crazy that other divisions you need to bank up 5 wins or 8 wins or lots of wins to get a title shot. But then light heavyweight, because the division is so empty and the quality is so bad, you can easily get a title shot off of like 2 wins. It's insane. It's crazy. But yeah, Paulo Costa might make the division a bit of fun. I'll be quite excited to see who he fights next and how that kind of goes. You've got Ankalaev, you've got Jamal Hill who hasn't fought in fucking ages. Like, where's he gone? He had that beef with Joanna and now he's gone. You've got Yeri, who just lost the interim title fight against Oberg. He'll be out for a wee while. Like what do you actually do? I mean, maybe you make Roundtree, Khalil Roundtree, and Ankalaev. Maybe that could be the next title fight. I don't know, man. I don't know. They need to sort out the fucking light heavyweight division. But yeah, D tier, and we now move on to the heavyweight division. And a lot of people think the heavyweight division similar to light heavyweight, right? No contenders, bit boring, bit stodgy, right? No, the heavyweight division is going to go in the C tier. Now, just hang in, right? Stay with me, right? Tom Aspinall, he's a good champion, okay? Like he just is, okay? His wins, his fights, they're good wins and they're good fights. They're entertaining, right? Um, he's a good champion. But I will concede that yeah, the contender thing at heavyweight, it's kind of dead, right? It's not looking too good. However, we've got Waldo Cortez Acosta and we have Josh Hawkett, right? Those 2 guys, they're bringing back the heavyweight division, right? They're resuscitating it. They're fucking pushing down on the chest of the heavyweight division and they're bringing it back to life. And that's what you need. The light heavyweight division needs a Josh Hawkett or a Waldo Cortez Acosta, right? It needs them. Um, but apart from that, you've got Aspinall now rematching Cyril Gann. That will be a good fight. Okay, that will be a genuinely good fight. The first one, yeah, cool, eye poke, whatever. But the rematch will be quite good. Prospect wise, you've got Pericic and Anton Delija, who again, you know, they actually look quite good for the heavyweight division. I think Pericic, I think he'll go up and he'll do really well at heavyweight. Delija, I think he could be a really good ranked heavyweight and probably get into like, maybe sixth or fifth ranked, I think. Um, but you also do have Volkov and you've got, Pavlovich. You've got guys who've been there and done it and they can help to kind of gatekeep the division as well. Um, but yeah, I just think that the heavyweight division right now, a lot of people are criticizing it, and they're rightfully so, right? Okay, it is a bit stinky, but it's not as bad as light heavyweight or middleweight, and I think people are overlooking middleweight and light heavyweight, and they don't realize how shit they are as divisions. Um, and yeah, it's been bugging me a wee bit. It's been bugging me a wee bit. Um, but yeah, I think just quality wise, heavyweight is a bit better just now than light heavyweight. Um, but yeah, I think the only thing that they would have to do is just let go of guys when they're obviously past their best. I'm talking Derek Lewis. I'm talking who else you got a heavyweight who can probably move on a wee bit. Anyone else, right? Whoever you want to name, right? Everybody will have their own heavyweight who they want to see get cut. I personally want to see Derek Lewis gone, right? I think he's done, right? Just get him gone. But yeah, so middleweight is in the D tier. We must remind ourselves, um, and that is the tier list. We've got lightweight at S tier, featherweight and welterweight at A tier. You've got flyweight at B tier, bantamweight and heavyweight at C tier, and then light heavyweight and middleweight in the D tier. Do let me know if you agree or disagree. Write it down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all that good shit. If you would like to, you don't have to. Um, but yeah, so thanks for watching. we'll hopefully see you in the next one.